everybody. I'm Evyenia. So the first thing that we're gonna do is, you've all been sitting here for a while. Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. Yep, that's you too, parents. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is you're gonna find somebody that's sitting with you that you don't know. I see you two. Somebody that you don't know, and you're gonna shake their hand, and you're gonna introduce yourself. Yep, go find somebody you don't know. That's what I'm talking about. I see it. Parents, you can do this too. Yep. Good handshake, and say, hi, do you want me to, I'll do another one. Hi, I'm Evyenia. Great handshake. That's wonderful. Okay. Did everybody shake hands? Everybody feeling good? Okay, you can sit back down. Great job. Wonderful. Okay. So the reason I did that is because first impressions are super important. When you start your interview, you want to go up there and you want to be like, boom, this is me. I'm cool, and you want to hear about me. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the score sheet of what the judges are sitting there looking at, and we're going to go down and we're going to just sort of go over some things that I've been asked over the years. Usually things that get asked over and over again, and you'll get better as you go along. So we're going to start with purpose, goals, and plans for the future. So they're probably going to ask, what are your plans for the future? And they'll either ask what your plans for the future are for your rabbit project or for you personally. Usually what I like to do is I like to do a little bit of both. So for rabbit related things, you want to show that you are wanting to move forward in the rabbit world. You want to keep moving with your rabbit project, and you want to be doing something in the future with it. So you can say something like, you're working on your registrars, you want to be a judge someday. It can even, if you don't want to do that, you can say that you're working on improving your stock. Because personally, I know I had Netherland dwarfs, and Netherland dwarfs, oh my goodness, they're so hard to get that perfect body type. But if you talk to the judge and you talk about real things that are going on with your rabbit project, you're going to do really well. You can also talk about your personal life things. So you can talk about if you want to go to college one day, if you're trying out for the play at your school, if you just got a car, something like that. Because the judges want to see you as a person as well as a competitor, and one of the important things in your interview is to be personable. The next thing that they ask you is about the depth of your project. With this, you want to be specific. So with the depth of your projects, the questions that I've been asked almost every single year is, what breeds of rabbits do you have, and how long have you had them? I've also been asked, if you no longer have a breed, please explain why you no longer have it. So usually you start with what you currently have. And the judges like to hear, you know what's in your barn, you know what's in your cages, you know what you have. So usually I would say something like, I have 15 Netherland dwarfs, 8 Dutch, and 4 silvers. By saying that, it shows that you know what you have, and it's not something that your parents are taking care of. It's something that you're taking care of and going out and feeding and watering every day. You also can add like personal anecdotes. Like, again, in your interview, it's better if you're personable and able to talk about things that are going on that are real. So usually I'll say, I had a doe that just pulled fur, which I did. We have a steel Dutch at home that just pulled fur. I love steel Dutch. They're so cute. Dutch are just the cutest babies, and I will stand by that for the rest of the time. You can also talk about like different things, like we just bred 7 does. The judges will eat that up, and they really like hearing that you're making active things in your herd. You can, when you talk about your past is something like a breed that you used to have and why it didn't work out. So for example, you could say something like, personally, like I used to have mini Rex, but I no longer have mini Rex because the competition was insane and I just didn't have the storage in order to breed productively and get the type of quality that I wanted with mini Rex because of how competitive it was. You can also say, I had a a Holland Lop, and it bit me, so I got rid of it. Again, if you have a real reason as to why you don't have breeds anymore, you can tell that to the judge, and the judge is going to be like, yeah, that's relatable, because the judges, they're people too. As scary as they may seem, because they'll probably be sitting there, and they'll stare at you, and they'll be writing down notes while you're talking. They also are rabbit breeders and have rabbits and can relate to the things that you're saying are going on with your livestock. Next, they're going to talk about management. So with management, this is where they want to know what your setup looks like. They want to know where your rabbits are, how many cages you have, your watering system, that type of thing. So personally, I would tell them that I have my rabbits in the shed outside. I have, again, like how we said with the breeds, you want to be specific numbers. With the cages and your supplies, you want to be specific as well. So you want to say, I have 2 6-holes and 3 12-holes. Or I have a 3-hole and that's it. Squat. 3 rabbits and that's it. You can also talk about ventilation. Ventilation is something that the judges love to hear about because it shows that you are an active participant in taking care of your rabbits. Ventilation is something that's really important no matter where your rabbits are. So if you bring that up, for example, since I have a shed, I always leave 2 windows open so that a current of air can go through so it doesn't start to smell like ammonia or something like that. The judges will appreciate that you know what you're talking about and you are taking care of your animals the correct way. They'll also want to know what types of feeds you're using. Sometimes they'll ask that question in showmanship as well. They'll be like, well, what feed does your rabbit get? And if you don't know, that's business, all right? You should know what you're putting in your rabbit's bowls. And if you don't, ask your parents, because I'm sure they're the ones paying for it right now. Personally, we use Heinold, and so I would say we use Heinold family feed. And again, if you want to go the extra mile with this, judges want to hear everything that you want to talk about. They're literally there for you to yap at them and just keep talking. So as long as you can milk this, that's a great thing. So if you want to say and be specific, like I feed the New Zealands a cup of food and the Netherland Dwarfs a 1/4 cup of food and the Silvers a 1/2 cup of food. That type of thing, the judges are going to appreciate because it shows that you're actively taking care of your animals. Also, your watering system. We're not that fancy. I know some people do have an automatic watering system. If you do, that's so cool and I envy you. Personally, I don't have that. We fill it up with either hose water or sink water, and I go out there with a pitcher and fill up every single bowl. Very time consuming. But again, that is something that your judges will be able to relate to, especially because the more real you are, the more your judges are going to like you. This is also another good place that you can mention like the maintenance of your rabbits. Like I trim nails on every Tuesday. I brush my Angoras every day. I don't know, I've never had Angoras. I feel like you probably should do that. That type of thing, again, it's showing that you take care of your animals and you're there for your animals. And one thing that I have gotten asked, I've been doing this since forever. Every year I get asked about biohazards. They'll either ask something like, say you come home from a show and you have a sick rabbit. What are you going to do about it? Or if you bought a new rabbit and it comes home sick, what are you going to do? That's something that, again, you can use reality to help you answer all of these questions. So you'll likely talk about some sort of sanitization, a quarantine, which everybody should be doing when you get new rabbits, and as well as, if there is, it gets to that point, what your culling procedure is. I remember I was like 10 and they asked me what my culling procedure was, and we had like 10 rabbits, so my culling procedure was, if they pass away, we bury them. We didn't have one of those, so that threw me for a loop. But if you don't have a culling procedure, you should be able to like educate yourself, which I did the next year, and be able to say, personally, we don't have one, but if we were to do a culling procedure, this is what we would do. Next, they're going to talk about achievement. This is also very dependent on who you are and what you've done and what you're doing. They'll likely ask you, usually I have gotten asked what your biggest accomplishment is in rabbits or your favorite award you've received in rabbits. Now this is something that it can vary. Really, there's a vast majority of things that you could answer. You could say, it could go from personal to when you placed in a competition that you didn't think you'd do well in. It could also be your rabbit getting best in show or your rabbit getting best of breed. It could also be your team winning. That is a good thing to mention if you are on a team, because then it shows that you can work well with others. It can also be about contests and that type of thing, but it isn't necessarily always about the winning that you have achieved. Personally, a lot of times I would have 3 things in mind that really stuck out to me. So like my first one was my first best of breed with my Netherlandorf. He was a Siamese sable buck. He was so cute. I was a little kid and it was so exciting for me because he was my baby. You know, I would go out and I'd like pet him constantly, and then he got best of breed one day and I got to go and take a picture with Tom Berger, and it was so exciting. And then, see, I'm telling you, when you're in your interview and you just start talking about yourself and little things that have happened about you, the judges are going to love that because it's showing that you're a real person. Another one that I would say is I do something rabbit related, I do something team or competition related. So something that I really enjoyed was the year that Team Indiana, not to toot our Indiana horn, but like my intermediate, all the intermediate teams, we won judging and breed ID at the national convention. And that was so cool, because I was in middle school, and I was like, wow, we did something. Hasn't happened. Hasn't happened, so we aren't going to talk about it though. And then usually I would talk about something personal that shows that I am relatable in a sense. So like one of my favorite personal achievements was that I got voted as the president of the Indiana State Rabbit Youth for 4 years. Like that was a really great achievement for me because it showed that my hard work was paying off and that people were noticing it and people were wanting me to be up there and be a leader for them. So that type of thing, judges are really going to like when you can show that you are a real person. Leadership. Again, this is a pretty straightforward one, but you should be very straight up about what it is you do. So if you aren't doing anything like in your rabbitness, like I could say I was a director and a secretary and a president for Youth Indiana State Rabbit Breeders Association. But you could also reach out and say like in your community, you're a Sunday school leader, you're a camp counselor, that type of thing. Within 4-H, you can talk about like your 4-H clubs, like I was president of my 4-H club, your rabbit club, statewide and like national things that you can be a part of. Again, it doesn't have to be directly rabbit related. Obviously, if you have something that you're a leader in the rabbit world, definitely mention that. But if you don't, it's okay to branch out and still show that you are involved outside of rabbits. However, if you haven't had a leadership role at all yet, which is totally okay, you can find other things to bring up about yourself at that point in time. Like you can say you were a mentor to younger kids. That's not necessarily your typical leadership role, but you still are showing leadership abilities in that position, if that makes sense. One thing that I did use when I was younger, because I wasn't in any sort of leadership positions in any of my clubs or anything yet, you can say that you're a leader within your rabbit herd and your rabbit project. I know some people it's like a family thing, and parents and kids are working together, but I didn't grow up in a rabbit family, so my mom and I really didn't know what was happening, but I got to call the shots, so I would be like, yeah, let's breed that broken and that red together. Doesn't always mean it's a good idea, but showing that you can be a leader within your project and your rabbits that you're taking care of can be a good thing as well. They mainly want to see in this that you can communicate well with others, and you can be a part of a team, you can be there for other people. Again, I don't know if I've hit the horse on the head enough, but the judges want to see you as a real person. It's so easy to go in there and turn into a robot and just start saying, yes, no, I have 2 rabbits, that's it, and get really nervous and shy, and which is okay. Don't worry, we'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Now we're at personal presentation. This is my favorite because I have come from the ground up. My first time I went in for an interview, I had flip-flops on. Flip-flops! I don't know what voice in my head thought that that was a good idea, but I had flip-flops on. So the main thing that they want to see is that you look good and professional. Because when you're in that interview, they're looking at you and they're thinking, are they going to look good in that sash, that apron, that crown, that hat? Are they going to look good, and are they going to represent winning an award well? So I have a list of some things that are yays and some things that are nays. It is sort of dependent. I put jeans on the nays. Don't freak out. If you have nice jeans, you can get away with it. But if you have like your clean the barn jeans on, that's not exactly showing your best foot forward. Some of the yays, it really depends. If you've been to nationals or a competition where there's interviews, it varies. There are people in flannels and jeans and a belt, and then there's people who are in suits and ties and dress shoes. A lot of people at nationals that I've seen will wear like a button-down shirt, slacks or nice pants, and their show coat, which you can do. It really is your own personal prerogative and what you have available to you, but one thing that I don't recommend is open-toed shoes. Don't do that. Also, personally, I'm a very nervous person, which is why I'm so glad that I have 2 things in my hands right now, because otherwise I would be fiddling and like pulling things and touching my hair and everything, which reminds me. Anyways, but I'm a very nervous person, so personally I try to make sure that I don't have any sort of jewelry or things on, because like I like to wear rings and I like to wear bracelets, but it's very easy when you're in an interview and you're nervous to start fidgeting, and the judges notice because they're watching everything that you do. It's very easy to start freaking out and start trying to take off your ring, and then it gets stuck on your sweaty finger and you don't know what to do. That's why I just recommend trying to be as simple and plain as possible. Now we're at my favorite part. Okay, I'm gonna grab this chair because we're gonna do a demonstration all together. My thing is that as I've said, I get so nervous. I could literally pee my pants. I swear sometimes in my interviews I black out and I come out and my mom's like, what'd they ask you? And I'm like, I have no idea. I don't remember anything I said because I get so nervous. But we're gonna do this together because personally all my nervous habits tend to pop out right when there's an important thing like an interview going on. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna sit down. You're all sitting down, great job. You're gonna cross your leg like this. If you're a guy, you don't have to do it. I know it's a little different for guys. But personally, my knee likes to bounce when I'm nervous. But when your leg is crossed, that knee can't bounce. But what about if your foot starts tapping and swaying back and forth? That's why you point your toe. So now your knee is covered, your toe is pointed, and now your legs can't move. Because you're focusing so hard on constraining those muscles not to move, you're fine. The next thing I do, I can't do it right now, but I interlace my fingers on my, right here, just like that. because it's so easy to start, especially if you aren't used to dressing nice, you'll suddenly feel yourself like moving the neckline, moving. If you're a girl, you're probably gonna start like scratching at your bra, you're gonna start pulling at your shirt, start like organizing your pants and everything. If you interlace your fingers, you can't move. Because again, your brain is so focused on your fingers interlaced, you're okay. Another thing that I like to do when I'm telling you, I am like the nerve pro. I get nervous so often, it's horrible, but I've learned how to compromise with it. The folded tongue. One thing that I do is I'll take my tongue in like the middle and like make like a little like circle with my tongue like that, and then like close my mouth, because it's easy. I'm a very an expressionful person. So when they ask a question and I'm like, oh, I have no idea how to answer this. When I was younger, they'd be like, what does malocclusion mean? I'd drop my jaw and be like, I don't know. So that gives you a minute, if you're focusing on when the judges are talking to you, because sometimes they'll take a while to get back to you after you've finished talking. If you fold your tongue or you put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, that'll help you from like showing in your face if you're nervous or excited or want to pass out and die. It helps you sort of focus all that energy into one place. The eye contact. I know that can be very scary as well. This is another one where you don't have to go to somebody that you don't know, but look at the person next to you and don't look at their eyes. Look at right in the middle of their nose, right here where if they were going to have a unibrow, that's where it'd be. Look right there, because it looks like they're looking at your eyes, but they're not. Because I know sometimes it can be intimidating, especially somebody that you don't know, and you're trying to make eye contact, and then you start looking in between their two eyes, and you're like, oh no, I don't know where to look. If you just pick a spot around their eye line and just focus on that, it just takes the pressure off of everything, because then you don't have to be like, am I looking at their left eye or their right eye? Just look at the middle of their face, and that helps a ton. Most of the time you'll also have two judges. So the two judges, you can look back and forth between their noses, and it seems like you're looking at them when you really aren't. If you aren't as nervous as I am, you can also do some intentional hand talking. I'm Greek, so I'm a hand talker. It runs in my family. Like, now that I don't have a thing in my hand, I'm sitting here and I'm like, it's very easy when you're nervous to start like just talking. Every single word is articulated with your hands, and that's easy to do. But if you have the interlaced fingers, you can interlace your fingers. And then say you're talking about that one time that New Zealand latched onto your arm.
Checking the arm will close 20 minutes. If you need to check in arm give 20 minutes.
If you're talking about that one time that New Zealand latched onto your arm and wouldn't let go, that's a time where you're like, okay, I can get my nervous energy out right now and talk about that time it was just dangling back and forth off your arm. And then go back to your interlaced fingers, because then you're back in that like comfortable, confident place. Overall, I know it can be nervous talking to somebody that you don't know, but these judges are here to hear you. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you talk about yourself, because their whole purpose of that day is to sit there and write about the cool things that you say about yourself. I'm going to stand up now. Yep, all right. Overall, I think some of the most important things that you can do is to be specific. Again, they love hearing the numbers. It's the same thing sort of when you're writing your essays, like be as specific as you possibly can be. Be truthful. You know, I could come up here and be like, I am a satin breeder. I have never, ever had a satin in my life. And then if the judge is like, oh, I also have satins. What varieties do you have? Because sometimes they will like banter back and forth, and I've never had statins. I could be like, opal? It's not a satin color, but that is why being truthful is the best thing that you can possibly do. Be truthful because it's relatable. Your reality is completely relatable because these judges have been doing what they've been doing for a really long time. Be yourself. Again, there's no point in going up there and pretending to be somebody that you're not. They want to hear about you, and they want to hear the cool things that you've done, the not so cool things you've done. Like, I'm sure we both like clipped a toenail too short and then it starts bleeding everywhere and you're like, oh mom, get the cornstarch, help. Like, that's relatable and funny, and your judges are gonna like hearing that you're a real person. Practice with those around you. For the parents that are here, it's really easy. My mom did it and I really appreciate her for it. She would ask me questions like out of the blue. Like, hey Evyenia, what are the varieties of Himalayan? That's not exactly for an interview, but it helps you think on your feet, especially in like the rabbit world, because as prepared as you can be, they might pull a question out of somewhere that you've never ever practiced before. And you're like, oh man. But just take a deep breath, think, and try to be as truthful as you can. And if you don't know, the judges would rather hear you say, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer, than try to make up something on the spot and be like, the colors of Himalayan are red and white. Like, as long as you try your best, the judges are going to appreciate you. Overall, you guys have done great. And one more time, before I go, everybody stand up. And you're gonna shake hands with a new person. A new person. You can do it. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, look at those handshakes. Those are firm handshakes. Yeah. Yeah. All right, you guys can sit back down. Great job. Thank you guys so much. Do you have any questions? Any questions? Going once. Going twice. Thank you.